Welcome to the Made in Monroe podcast. Today I've got meteorologist Jarod Floyd with us. Jarod, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
So I was joking with you a little bit ago. I feel like you should be the one that is in the seat driving this bus and not me.
It's really weird to be on the other side of an interview and actually have to, put some thought into answers instead of the questions. Right. It's really weird.
Well, I do think that my children are going to be super impressed that I got to sit down with you today. Like the person that tells us what the weather's going to be like and if we're going to be safe or not. I mean, they're going to think this is great.
They just want to know if they're going to school tomorrow.
That's
the
correct.
only thing that a child's ever worried about with the weather.
I don't know. Mine sometimes ask, like, Mom, do we need to go get in the closet? Are we going to be safe? Like if they see wind and stuff. So they really are a little bit perceptive of that kind of stuff. But
and you grow up in this area and you become very knowledgeable of the weather at a very young age.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. All right, so let's just dive right into it. Sure. So tell me the story of Jarod Floyd. How did you, what did your path look like? What was your story to get to where you are today?
As spending 20 years in broadcasting, it all started as a childhood dream.
Okay.
Literally the childhood dream of 4 or 5 years old, you grow up watching the Weather Channel and you grow up watching your local television meteorologist, your broadcast meteorologist. I grew up in Central Arkansas. You have just as many frequent severe weather events as we have in this area. And so, you kind of grow up with those childhood icons of watching that local television weather guy in the late 80s and early 90s. Mm-hmm. I knew that they helped folks. Most of what I started from, I was terrified of thunderstorms. Severe weather scared me absolutely to death as a child. And so I started not as I want to be a meteorologist because I want to learn how thunderstorms are created. I wasn't the sciencey part of it as a child. Yeah. I was terrified of them. So if I tracked them and I knew where they were going, I could not be. I could go the opposite direction. And so it really started as just a fear, and then it became learn about it so you're not as afraid. And then it was, I know so much about it. I might as well help folks with the same anxieties and fears. We're all terrified of what we can't control, and so it really just kind of morphed into that as I went into college and became a professional.
So tell me your career path. So you go to college, you become a professional. Tell me where that started to where you are today.
It all started and continues here. That's the cool thing about it. I started at Arkansas Tech for a year as in college. Everybody has the childhood dream of being a professional athlete. I'm going to play baseball. That was a very, very short dream. And so then it was, what are you going to do with the rest of your life? I always wanted to be a meteorologist. I knew that the University of Louisiana Monroe had a small program. It was an affordable program for me. And so I came down here, moved down here, graduated, fell into a job in broadcasting here locally in the local television market, and then worked my way up from there. Was chief meteorologist for 17 years. And so then you get to a point where you've created a rapport and a relationship with so many folks in an area, and you become a part of the community that, the roots were here. And so when the next venture moved on, it obviously needed to be here as well. It's home.
Yeah, it is home. It's become home.
Absolutely.
So let's go back to your childhood. Was there a specific weather event that really captivated you, that made you feel like, okay, this is what I have to do, or this is the reason that I'm so interested in it?
March 1st, 1997 was a significant tornado outbreak across Arkansas. We had another one in January of 99, and I was, in the 8th grade. But March 1st, 97, we were at a basketball tournament in Central Arkansas, and we were encouraged to not come home because there were tornado warnings across the area. And when we came home, there was damage and the whole very real scenario of a major significant severe weather event happening in your area. Again, piques curiosity. I was, 11, 12 at the time. So you're really at that impressionable age of a lot of core memories, kind of are ingrained at that point. And I just remember, like I said, folks being so helpful on television, and like I said, your local meteorologist providing some sense of relief and some sense of safety, and I just wanted to help. That was my way of I want to do that one day, and that's where we landed.
I love that. I'll be honest with you, I've never thought about it from that perspective of helping somebody with their fears and their anxieties and their worries, but I am definitely one that is I check the weather before I get on a plane to make sure that it is safe to travel and to be in the air. And
Correct.
So it's very much so that it is calming people, easing their nerves, their mind. And so I love that perspective that you give on that.
And there's so much a theater of the mind too when you don't understand, when you see something that you don't understand. There are so many instances in our community where we have the big scary clouds that move through, and it's not a severe thunderstorm. In fact, it's a thunderstorm that's weakening and dying, but the layperson doesn't know that. There's always a nice way to have someone there that's telling you, it may look really scary outside, but we're going to be okay. Because there's a trust with the community that comes with working as a meteorologist and informing and educating. That's what I've always said has been very crucial to me, is inform and educate the public. If you don't know something, be honest with them and tell them you don't know. If we're going to be 3 inches of snow or 5 inches of snow or no snow, be honest with your consumer and tell them, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to walk you through it as we continue to try to figure it out together. There's so much stuff to learn about the atmosphere and how it works on a daily basis. And if I don't have the answers, I know that most of the public doesn't have the answers, but let's learn about it together.
Right. We'll figure it out.
Right.
So when you began this career path and kind of this journey, did you envision being where you are today?
No. There were so many delusions of grandeur of eventually, being Al Roker on the Today Show or landing in some big city market, but that doesn't necessarily always, line up with your family ambitions, your life ambitions. Relationships grow, they change, they end, and that, obviously kind of sends you on your own path. Right. And so I didn't envision to be here, stay here, but then in a very early time in my life, I realized that this was a community that quickly became home, and it would be so difficult to leave.
Monroe's a special place for sure.
It is, and I love the fact that this community is so accepting of what I've done and helped to provide in terms of informing and educating in terms of the weather. And everyone's just always been so gracious with my learning curves and mistakes as a younger person, and now as I've gotten older, they make me feel like family. And so there's just been times where in the last several years, how do we change, how do we adapt to our changing marketplace and how folks are consuming information, and then that kind of leads us to where the future is. And so like I said, I'm just very excited, and my family is really excited to continue our journey in this area.
Right. Yeah, Monroe's a great place to do that. I feel like the community as a whole, Monroe does a good job of embracing people.
Yes.
They really do, and holding you up. And so interesting that we would land right here. So you've had a really, really great journey thus far. But we were talking before this, and you've kind of got some exciting news about what the future holds as well. So let's just go ahead and jump there. Kind of tell me what the future holds for you. What is the next step for you in your career?
In the next days and weeks, we'll be launching a digital-only weather platform called the Digital Weather Desk, powered by Century Next Bank. We're really excited about sponsors and some of the local community businesses that are going to be a part of this. And that's another thing about it that's really important to me. But the Digital Weather Desk is going to be a digital weather platform that continues to inform our consumers of southern Arkansas, northern Louisiana, and western Mississippi. It gives them a daily weather forecast. It gives them an app that they can download and go to. It gives them a website that they can go to get more information on how to support the Digital Weather Desk, how to be a part of the community. And it gives us an ability to be more interactive and more efficient in delivering weather information to our area. And so going into a digital-only platform, we're kind of going where the next generation is. Most folks are on their phone. If they get an alert, they're staying on their phone. So let's go to where they are, and they being, the consuming public, the folks that want weather information, and let's give them what they need. And that's, a daily weather forecast from a trusted, experienced person, because that's the other thing about the digital marketplace, is there's a lot of noise too. So folks want a trusted name, a trusted voice that can walk with them through the crazy weather that we have in our area. And we're really excited about the opportunities for a family-owned business and for a very grassroots local initiative to take off and really inform and educate the public.
So this launches in
September. Yes, and so early September, and so we're just really excited about kind of bringing attention to it, bringing awareness to it, and for the viewing public and the consuming public to kind of jump in as well. The local involvement in terms of our businesses, folks that wanted to be a part of it, that get it and have kind of sunk their teeth into this opportunity, has been so amazing. So we've had a lot of business partners and sponsors that are making this community service possible. And so that's another thing that has been really important to me, is it is a community service that is provided by the community.
So when you say this is a digital platform that you're going to be bringing to the public through social media and other ways, is this going to be through an app, or how will people access this?
It'll be through an app. A lot of folks will just find them on their social media channels. Okay. That's another thing that is so important, is most folks are getting their breaking weather. If they're on YouTube, they're getting it on YouTube. If they're on Instagram, they're getting it on Instagram. If they're on X, they're getting it on X. If they're on Facebook, which a lot of our area is very Facebook active. If you're on Facebook, it'll be there as well. So basically, my goal was to go where you are to deliver the information, instead of you having to come find me for the information. And I think that was really important to me as we launched this entire initiative, is to go where people are and not feel like they had to come find the information actively.
I love that. I like that approach a lot. I mean, I think that's you staying relevant to how times are changing and to how people are growing and how they're accessing their information. So I think it's very timely that you would do this as well.
It's one of those things that was very important to me. And then ultimately, and this is probably the most important thing for me, was reliable, experienced weather information should always be 110% free. If you get your weather information from the National Weather Service, great, that's free information. If you're getting your information from me, if you're downloading my app, if you're logging on to the digitalweatherdesk.com, if you're going through our social channels and absorbing this weather information, you're doing it 110% free. That's the most important thing to me. And it also means a lot to me that local businesses feel so strongly about making sure that this is free, that they are willing to sponsor and support the content that we're providing. Because in my mind, as I began this initiative and began this platform, in my mind, if the local businesses in the local community wouldn't financially support it, it's probably something we shouldn't be doing.
Right.
And so I'm just really, really excited about the fact that any business that I've gone to, whether they've supported it financially or whether they haven't been able to support it financially, I can't wait to subscribe. I can't wait to download the app. I can't wait to support it in whatever way possible. But every community business that I've visited with so far has been so warm and receptive to it. And again, that speaks to the community that we're in.
Yeah, we've got a wonderful community, again, that really does embrace people. It's not afraid to embrace change. It's not afraid to embrace new ideas, new things, innovative ways of thinking.
And I think this community wants to be on the forefront of change in a positive way. And that's one of these things that in a post-COVID world, as folks have gotten even increasingly more digital. And as you mentioned, if we get a breaking news alert, breaking weather alert, breaking whatever, most folks are immediately running to their phone. And once they get on their phone, they're not going somewhere else. They're just staying there. And so it was a matter of going to where people are.
I love it. Well, Jarod, you could be anywhere doing what you're doing, but you've chosen to plant roots here, to raise a family here in Monroe. Why Monroe?
I think it has a lot to do with just the circumstance in the early parts of my life. Some 20 years ago, because now I've spent over half my life here. And that's really weird to say, too, is that I'm more Louisianian than Arkansan at this point, which is, I'm very proud to say. But in my mind, it was a lot of early circumstances. You have a son here and then watch him grow, and then you don't want to uproot that. But then also, as you continue to grow and you develop so many relationships with so many amazing people, and you get to know this area, there is a certain attraction to just staying with what's familiar, and this community is, again, so warm, so receptive. But also from my professional standpoint, from the meteorological standpoint, we get a lot of interesting weather in this area. We fall into a gap in terms of information, like severe weather information, because this area is situated in kind of an awkward spot in terms of National Weather Service offices and things like that. So to me, it's an interesting industrial spot for me as a meteorologist. But also, we're 3 hours from my family in Central Arkansas. We're 3 hours from my in-laws in Lafayette. You know, we found our favorite restaurants. We found our businesses that we like to work with, and again, it's just such a warm place to be.
Yes.
And so we also, you know, my wife, you know, is very, you know, she works for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, and so being part of the Dream Home program, and seeing what happens there, and watching the community take part in that every year, you don't want to leave that.
Right.
You really don't.
Right.
And so this is home, and that's not going to change.
So Monroe, I feel like our area really kind of has a spotlight on it right now with the Meta facility coming in, and just all of the other things that are going on, that the really great things in our community. And so what piece of advice would you give? We've got a lot of outsiders looking at our area, probably thinking about moving here. You've also got a lot of college graduates that have opportunities other places, but also here. What advice would you give to them, and what would be the reasons that you would tell them to plant roots here, to move here, to stay here, as opposed to somewhere else?
I would tell them to start in and then work their way out. Instead of, a lot of folks, you know, when you finish college and you're looking for that first job, before you start looking to the big city, look here first. Because again, as you mentioned, there's a lot of growing, there's a lot of moving, there's a lot of changing. But there's also, again, a lot of advantages to being in this community, being somewhere where you are already, you know, kind of familiar, but also it's the simple things of the people, the willingness to watch you and want you to be successful as a person, and also there's opportunities to give back in this community, and be someone of value and importance. So my suggestion, again, to simplify it, would be to start here and look here first before you start looking elsewhere. We've got a lot of special things going on.
So this is just kind of a fun question.
Sure.
What is your favorite thing about Monroe?
Oh gosh, I love the fact, well, it's awkward for me because I'm a ULM graduate. I love the fact that I can go to ULM, you know, football games, athletic events, and parking is easy. You know, there's not traffic and there's not these massive headaches. That's the thing I love about this growing part is we've got the traffic thing kind of figured out. But no, in all seriousness, we love the food. We have our favorite food places, our restaurants and things like that. So you know, that's the one thing that we love, is when folks come to town and they visit and they're like, hey, where should I go? And I'm like, where do you want to go?
Right.
And being able to give the opportunities for Monroe cuisine. It's a tough question for me because there's just so many positive things going on in this area.
The people.
The food, the
just
people,
area.
the central location to a lot of fun stuff nature-wise. If you want to go to Black Bayou, we've got great golf in this area. Like, there's just so much fun stuff to do. And like I said, it's just a very special place to be.
Well, I'm very glad that you've chosen to plant roots here. I know there's so many people in our community that are. I love hearing about your new endeavor with Digital Weather Desk. I cannot wait to see all that you do with that. And I'm just glad that Jarod Floyd's not going away, and I think the rest of the community will be as well. So thank you for sitting down with us today. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much,
Thank
Colby.
you.